Rick and Glenn. And Glenn, remember in our pre-show meeting, we decided to determine this threesome the rivalry group?
Absolutely.
So let's explain why. We have Jamarco Jones, De La Salle here in Chicago, big offensive tackle, going to play at Ohio State. Ian Bunting, tight end from Hinsdale Central, he's going to play at Michigan. So you see where we're going here with this rivalry thing, and we'll keep it going with Enoch Smith Jr. from Mount Carmel in Chicago. He's going to play at Michigan State. We're going to keep it friendly, though, for the next 9 or 10 minutes because you guys will have plenty of time to get nasty this fall.
But Ian's outnumbered. He's got it on both sides.
All right, Jamarco, I start with you, and I guess this is an easy question. Why Ohio State, a school that once again has one of the top recruiting classes in the nation?
Coach Meyer, he's a great coach. He has a winning pedigree. He's won national championships at Florida, and they had that big win streak here at Ohio State before the last 2 games. And I just look to continue the winning tradition at Ohio State.
So you're telling me that when the caller ID rings and it shows Meyer, Urban, you're probably going to answer?
Yeah.
Ian, kind of the same thing with Michigan, obviously a program that is synonymous with historical success. Why the Wolverines for you? You could have gone pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, to me it was really about family, and I went there and it just felt like home, and it felt like family to me. And the coaches were just regular guys and weren't arrogant. They're not up on a pedestal, so that was something that really hit home with me.
Did John Beeline at all try to sneak into the meeting with Brady Hoke and convince you to play some hoops as well?
Unfortunately not, but we'll see how it goes.
Enoch Smith Jr. headed to East Lansing, joined a Michigan State defense that has been simply lights out over the past couple of years. Why the Spartans for you?
Well, first and foremost, it was about family was my decision. The first time I went down to Michigan State, they treated my family like they were family. And my little brother, he has autism, and they accepted him with open arms, and they made his dream come true, and that played a role in my commitment as well. And also that defense, it speaks for itself.
Ian, the University of Michigan, obviously the Wolverines have a lot to offer. Typically, in a prospective student athlete's decision, playing time becomes a factor. Now, this wasn't evident when you signed with Michigan, but since then, Jake Butt, tight end, figured to play a lot in their offense. Serious knee injury. How has that changed your thinking?
Yeah, well, it's definitely an opportunity for me, and I talked to him about it, and just let him know, obviously, that I was there for him if he ever needed anything, and reassured him that he'll be back as soon as possible. But that, and we were talking, he said, this is an opportunity for you to step up, and I was right there with him, told him I'd step up wherever I'm needed, and hopefully we'll see some good things happen next season.
Enoch, you mentioned the Michigan State defense. Nobody the last couple of years have played better defense than the Spartans.
Yes, sir.
You're a 3-star recruit, and when I saw that, I don't know exactly what that means, but you're a 3-star recruit. The first thing that came to mind, their outstanding linebacker, Danico Sallin, he made a statement. He says, in our defense, we don't have a lot of 4- or 5-star recruits, but we play like 5-star players. They play with a chip on their shoulder. Are you one of those guys?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm one of the people that tends to go get it whenever, the team needs something that needs to be done. I'll fill that void. And also, coming from the #1 defense in the state of Illinois, it's just a great honor.
Jamarco, you mentioned Ohio State and Urban Meyer. And, when you think of the Ohio State offense, I think most people think of Braxton Miller, Carlos Hyde, that wealth of talent at skill positions. But Coach Meyer always talks about that the offensive line is the foundation of that offense. Always has been, always will be. They lost 4 or 5 starters. Is that how they kind of sold you on Ohio State?
I talked to them about that a little bit, but, just the entire tradition of Ohio State and Coach Meyer's past, and knowing that Coach Warner, the offensive line coach, he's done a great job. His last 5 seniors, he's gotten them all to go to the NFL. He turned a tight end into a drafted offensive tackle in 1 year. So, just the tradition at Ohio State and Coach Warner's history with offensive line coaching, it's all great and perfect fit for me.
Enoch, I want to go back to something that you said about Michigan State making you really feel like you were part of the family in the way that they treated your brother. And I'm thinking that that's something that can't be scripted. In a sense, coaches can tell you what they know you want to hear. Yeah. Players, while you're on your recruiting visit, can show you the things that they know you want to see. Something like that, was that a moment where it hit you that this decision is not nearly as hard as maybe it could possibly be?
Yes, sir. I honestly felt like committing on spot once they offered me and once that situation went down. But I had to take my time, talk to my parents, pray to God, and make sure I was making the right decision for myself and my future as well.
Ian, I know a lot of people followed your recruitment as one of the most recruited players in the state of Illinois, one of the most recruited tight ends in the entire nation. And so much of that process these days takes place in social media, it takes place on Twitter, on message boards. How much attention do the actual recruits pay to what's going on those boards, on Twitter, about what's being said, not only about yourself, but about the school you're likely going to commit to and about other recruits that you know?
Yeah, well, I didn't have a Twitter for a while. I got one pretty recently, but I always tried to not read that stuff, just kind of let them talk about whatever they want to talk about and just focus on doing my thing and not letting other things distract me. But I know that a lot of people do focus on that stuff, and there's a lot of information out there on anyone. But one thing that helped was talking to coaches through Facebook or anything like that, because if I'm not mistaken, they weren't allowed to call you, they weren't allowed to text you, but they were allowed to Facebook message you. So that was definitely helped a lot with contacting coaches and setting things up, setting up visits, and just keeping in contact with them.
What about you, Jamarco? How much did you utilize social media during this process?
Like Ian said, we could Facebook message and Twitter message the coaches. And, it's a kind of a new world. Talking to coaches, they said, 10, 15 years ago, they wasn't able to do all of this. And like the fans have their input on Twitter, they follow you and they mention you and say stuff to you. So it's just kind of crazy when you look at it. We're the focus of so many people all over the internet. But, you got to try to keep a level head, and stuff that's out there isn't always 100% true. So much stuff happens that people just assume that they know what's going on, but they really don't. So you just got to know what you know is real and what the coaches know is real, and try to put aside what people are saying on the internet and things like that.
Enoch, in your case, how much tweeting do you think went back and forth or Facebook messaging with someone like Malik McDowell, who had verbally committed to Michigan State, then that didn't go through officially? Did you know of other Michigan State recruits who were trying to contact him through social media to try to convince him and his family that Michigan State was where he should be?
Yes, sir. Actually, for our 2014 commits, we have a group chat on Facebook, and we all try to get in contact with him, or on Twitter, try to reach out to him and let him know that Michigan State would be the best fit for him. But social media, that's where everything is at right now, and technology is the key for everything, so that was a plus for everything.
I got to go back a second. Talk about social media. We know that that's what's going on right now, but coaches, they don't want to miss the trick. I understand they still send all this mail. I recently saw where they sent 50 letters in one day to one guy. Does anybody read that mail anymore, Ian?
Yeah, I would read it, open it up just to make sure I'm not throwing away anything important. But it does get old after a while with all the letters coming in. But it's still fun, I think. Just it lets you know that people love you, and that's always a great feeling. So.
Jamarco, did you read all that stuff?
No, it was way too much to read. I have like 4 or 5 big black garbage bags just filled with mail. It was crazy. Me and my mom talked about that to, just how much it would fill up the mailbox. Like the mail lady would have to knock on the door and just give it to us.
That poor mailman, huh? Enoch, how about you? Did you read that stuff? Or anybody in your family? You just throw it away?
Well, I attempted to read all of it, but I didn't get to it either. I would try to read it, or before I would get home, my little brothers would be going through all of my mail. I would come through, I would see mail all over the floor, so I would be kind of disappointed, but we would at least try to get to it.
Mace, they've already made rules and regulations that they have to take those football programs. Florida State's was at one point 750 pages. They had to shrink it down. What's going on with the environment right now? These guys getting all these mails. Trees around the world are getting cut down for all this mail. These guys don't even read anymore. Fellas, congratulations. I know this has been a very stressful process, but we wish you the best of luck. Jamarco Jones, Ian Bunting, Enoch Smith Jr., thank you guys so much for being with us, and I know we'll be following you a lot this fall.
Yes, sir. Thank you.